And welcome back. President Trump is touting progress in those indirect talks with Iran as negotiations pause for the funeral of Supreme Leader Khamenei, which is set to last from July 4th to July 9th. Talks are expected to resume after that. Fox News' Jeff Paul is in Tel Aviv with more. And Jeff, what can you tell us?
Ashley, this latest round of talks between the U.S. and Iran has wrapped up in Doha, Qatar. The latest round, at least for now. Qatari mediators saying that positive progress has been made, and they're already talking about when they'll host the next round of discussions. Qatari officials say that will likely be after the funeral for Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Those ceremonies are set to start this weekend, with the burial taking place on July 9th. The latest technical talks reportedly centered around the full reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, as well as unfreezing Iranian assets. Iran's foreign minister says Tehran and Washington will work to establish a communication channel to discuss any violations of the MOU. Iran's parliament speaker and lead negotiator admitted that nuclear inspections will happen, saying they'll have access to just 2 sites as of now. Folks who live in Iran responding to the current situation this way.
Look, given the history of past negotiations, I am not optimistic about them. It is a path that our martyred leader always said that if necessary, we will pursue. But we do not have much trust in this path.
People's demands must certainly be understood, and our red lines must be respected. And if we see that these red lines are not being respected, in my view, we should not negotiate and must immediately end them.
Here in Israel, they're marking 1,000 days since Hamas carried out the attacks of October 7th. There was a rally in Tel Aviv at the site formerly known as Hostage Square. Some Israelis who gathered are calling for an independent commission looking into how those attacks happened and to make sure they never happen again. Ashley.
Jeff Paul, thank you very much. Now to this, I want to get into this a little bit more if we can and bring in retired U.S. Navy SEAL Mike Sarraille. Mike, great to have you here. How do you evaluate where we stand with Iran at this point? I mean, are we making progress or could it go all south again?
The potential of going south is always there, but look at from the start of the war to where we're at now. Iran is negotiating from a hospital bed, not a position of strength. Now, if we get into Doha, the immediate focus is the Hormuz. That's the immediate leverage. And right now, the typical Tehran playbook is they're trying to treat or sell restraint in the Hormuz as concessions when they don't realize that the freedom of navigation is just civilized behavior. Ultimately, what aids Trump here, and he's given diplomacy a chance while moving in the periphery with things like the expansion of the Abraham's Accord 2.0. He's not only relying on this deal, but he's making moves in the Middle East to further confine and isolate Iran. But ultimately, we will get to a deal. And Iran is in a worse place than they started, and the Middle East is better off for it.
All right, I want to move on to this one if we can, Mike. Earlier today, U.S. Ambassador to NATO, Matthew Whitaker, previewed what to expect next week at the NATO summit. Listen to this. I'll get your comment.
We can point to European allies spending a lot more money on their own defense and therefore making NATO stronger. I think, a lot of that money is being spent in the United States, about $60 billion last year, and back orders of over $300 billion. We're announcing a bunch of business deals on the sidelines of the summit. President Trump was very frustrated during Epic Fury, especially at the start, where we had either allies that didn't cooperate with our use of our own bases, or even and more importantly, were very negative on the efforts politically with their statements. We have to make sure that our allies are with us politically and militarily at all times.
So that's the goal, Mike, to have those European allies beside us militarily and politically. But I don't think they exactly excelled themselves when the conflict with Iran began. What say you?
No, it was feckless behavior. And stepping into this upcoming meeting, it's accelerating President Trump's criticism of their spending. So, ultimately at The Hague, they all agreed to increase their GDP spending of 5% by 2035. And in near real time, the increase has been about 20% spending in 2025. So they are spending money. But Trump's point is very simple here. He doesn't care about how you're spending the money or what you're spending the money on. Ultimately, he wants to see one thing, and that is actual combat power. Show me the air defenses. show me the artillery shells, show me the tanks and the troops that are ready to fight. So it's not about the spending, it's about the combat power in near real time. Because if we're not seeing results or outcomes until 2035, that means that the defense of our NATO partners is going to be continued to be outsourced to America. And that is a burden that Trump and the American people are not willing to burden.
Well, I got 30 seconds, Mike, but you make that point very well. If the NATO countries were in trouble, needed help, who the heck are they going to turn to?
As they didn't turn to help us with Iran, naturally they're going to come back to us.
Yes.
It's no different than World War II when we came to their aid. We are their only response or emergency button at this time.
Exactly right. So they better listen up. All right. Thank you so much, Mike Sarraille. Thank you for being here. And also, sir, thank you for your service to America. Very much appreciated.